Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, Jasniv BL Stories.
Chapter 1. The Commander Who Fell First. Adrian Kale, Alpha Commander. I had survived battlefields where entire fleets burned beneath my command. I had stood before emperors without lowering my head. Yet one Omega on a university stage stole my composure in a single heartbeat. Golden petals drifted through the theater as he appeared in flowing white robes portraying a celestial immortal descending from the heavens. Sapphire ribbons danced behind his silky black hair, and the soft light made his porcelain skin glow as if he truly belonged among the stars. The entire audience applauded. I didn't. I simply stared. "Commander?" One of my subordinates called me quietly. I ignored him. The Omega smiled on stage, his peach blossom eyes carrying both kindness and loneliness as he delivered his final lines. My heartbeat had never betrayed me before. Until now. "I want him." The words left my mouth naturally. My adjutant blinked. "Sir?" I said I want to marry him. The theater felt too small. After the performance ended, I ordered an investigation. Within half an hour, my officers returned. "Commander, his name is Lin Yu Chen." I repeated it silently. "Lin Yu Chen. It gets stranger, sir." "What?" "His father is Dr. Lin." "Dr. Lin? The physician who has served your family for over 20 years. For the first time in years, I laughed. So fate has already arranged our meeting. That evening, my military convoy stopped before Dr. Lin's modest residence. The neighbors peeked through their windows as dozens of elite soldiers stood in perfect formation. Dr. Lin hurried outside, almost dropping his glasses. "See Commander Adrian." I nodded politely. "I came to ask for your son's hand in marriage." Silence. Dr. Lin's mouth opened and closed several times. Then his face burst into joy. Of course, it would be our family's greatest honor." Before I could answer, footsteps echoed from the hallway. The Omega from the theater appeared. Even wearing simple home clothes, he was breathtaking. Lin Yu Chen, Omega. I froze. Why? Why was the famous Commander Adrian standing inside my living room? Father looked happier than I had ever seen him. Then he spoke the words that made my blood run cold. "Yu Chen, Commander Adrian wishes to marry you." "Marry? Me?" I stared at the stranger. He was absurdly handsome. Tall, broad shoulders, black military uniform. Cold silver eyes. Power radiated from every movement. But I refuse. The room became silent. "I don't even know you." Father's smile disappeared. "I won't marry someone I've never met." I gathered my courage. And my hands trembled. "And there's already someone I like." Behind the closed door, I could hear muffled sobs and angry footsteps. He truly hated me. Interesting. I turned back toward Dr. Lin as if nothing unusual had happened. 1 week. He blinked. For the wedding. His face lit up. "Yes, a week is more than enough. He is merely shy. I'll persuade him." I nodded once before leaving with my officers. Whether he loved me today or hated me, one day Lin Yuchen would willingly walk beside me. I was certain of it. The moment the convoy disappeared, I ran downstairs. "Father, how could you agree without asking me?" Father's expression hardened. "Do you know who that man is?" "I don't care. I love someone else." "You'll forget him." "I won't." Tears blurred my vision. "You sold your own son." Father looked away. "I protected this family." "No," I whispered through my tears. "You protected yourself."
The next morning, I sat motionless in the university courtyard. Everything felt distant, as if my soul had already left my body. Then someone covered my eyes. Guess who? I immediately recognized the warm voice. Kai. He laughed and sat beside me, revealing a single red rose. Ta-da! For my dear boyfriend. The moment I saw him, my tears finally fell. "I'm getting married next week." Kai's smile vanished. "What? To Commander Adrian?" "No." He stood immediately. "I won't allow it. We love each other. I'll beg him. If begging doesn't work, I'll fight him." I grabbed his wrist desperately. "Don't. He'll kill you." Kai remained silent. Then he squeezed my hand. "Until death. Then let's run away. Far away. Somewhere no one can ever find us." For the first time in days, hope returned. I slowly nodded. "Let's go." Neither of us realized the commander had already expected us to run away. Chapter 2. You Cannot Escape Me. Lin Yu Chen, Omega. For 3 days, Kai and I planned our escape. Every whispered conversation felt like a crime. Every glance over my shoulder made my heart race. I packed only the things that truly mattered, a photograph of Mother, a few changes of clothes, and the little jade pendant she had left me before she died. When the stars finally covered the sky, Kai waited outside the academy. He smiled at me, though I could see the nervousness hidden in his eyes. "Ready?" I nodded. If we keep moving through the night, we'll reach another province before sunrise. I looked back only once. Goodbye, Father. Goodbye, this city. Goodbye, Commander Adrian. Then we ran. For several hours, it actually felt possible. Kai kept talking about the small house we'd build together someday. We'll grow flowers. You always wanted a garden. I'll cook. You'll keep acting on stage. His dreams sounded so beautiful that I almost believed fate would finally be kind to us. Then, black military vehicles surrounded the road. Bright searchlights illuminated the darkness. Dozens of armed soldiers stepped out. Their commander slowly emerged from the middle vehicle. Adrian. His silver eyes quietly met mine. I gave you freedom to say goodbye, but I never gave you permission to disappear. Kai instinctively stood in front of me. You don't own him. Adrian looked at him as though he were nothing more than dust. You were brave, or perhaps just foolish. Kai clenched his fists. I love Yu Chen, and he loves me. He'll never love someone who forces him. For the first time, Adrian's expression became frighteningly cold. He walked forward. So, you're the one. Before I could react, his fist crashed into Kai's face. Kai was thrown several meters across the road. Kai! I rushed forward, but soldiers restrained me. Kai struggled to stand again, despite blood running from the corner of his mouth. I'm not afraid of you. Adrian calmly accepted a revolver from one of his officers. The sound of the weapon being cocked echoed through the silent night. He aimed directly at Kai. Everything inside me froze. No! I broke free from the soldiers and grabbed Adrian's arm with both hands. Please, don't kill him. I'll go back. I'll marry you. Just don't shoot him. Tears poured uncontrollably from my eyes. My hands trembled around his wrist. For several long seconds, Adrian remained perfectly still. Finally, he lowered the gun. Throw him outside the city. His voice carried no emotion. My commander? I said, throw him away. The soldiers dragged Kai across the ground. He struggled desperately. Yu Chen, don't go. I'll come back for you. I cried even harder. Adrian suddenly gripped my chin and turned my face toward him. Look only at me. Before I understood his intention, his lips claimed mine. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't meant to be. It was a declaration, a warning, a promise. When he finally stepped back, my face burned with humiliation. He looked directly toward Kai. As long as he wears my mark, no one else has the right to dream about him. Kai roared in helpless fury while the soldiers forced him into another vehicle. I could only watch him disappear into the darkness.
Adrian carried me into his command vehicle. I sat against the window, unable to stop crying. Minutes passed in silence. Finally, he sighed. You're noisy. I glared at him through blurred eyes. He suddenly pulled me into his arms. I stiffened immediately. His embrace was unexpectedly warm. If you're crying because I kissed you, I'll let you cry. I can comfort you. His voice became colder. But if those tears are for him, I'll turn this vehicle around and finish what I started. Fear instantly silenced me. I bit my lip until it hurt. Without thinking, I leaned forward and bit his shoulder as hard as I could through his uniform. He didn't even try to stop me. Instead, he laughed, a genuine laugh. When I finally released him, I glared with every ounce of hatred I possessed. I hate you. He smiled faintly. I know. Then he lightly kissed my forehead. You'll have many years to keep telling me that. I stared at him in complete disbelief. You're insane. I've been called worse. For the first time, I had absolutely no idea how to deal with this impossible man. 1 week later, the entire province celebrated our wedding. Everyone called it the marriage of the century. To me, it felt like the day my freedom disappeared forever. Even dressed in magnificent white ceremonial robes embroidered with silver stars, I couldn't bring myself to smile. When the attendants left to prepare the ceremony, I quietly climbed onto the balcony. One jump. That was all it would take. Just as I lifted one foot, Father grabbed my arm. What are you doing? I'm leaving. You'll doom this entire family. I don't care anymore. Father's face twisted with anger. Do you want our whole clan executed? Why do you keep provoking the most dangerous alpha in the province? Something inside me finally shattered. I swept expensive ornaments from the dressing table onto the floor. Glass shattered everywhere. Why? Why didn't you refuse him from the beginning? You only cared about the power he could give you. You sold your own son. If Mother were alive, she'd be ashamed of you. Father's face turned crimson. Before I could react, his hand struck my face. The sting spread across my cheek. He lifted his walking stick. I'll teach you respect. Before the stick could fall, another hand caught it effortlessly. The room became silent. Adrian stood there, still wearing his formal military wedding uniform. His expression was unreadable. He slowly removed Father's hand from the walking stick. Then he walked directly to me. Without asking, he gently wrapped both arms around me. I was too shocked to move. His voice remained calm. From today, he is my husband. He looked directly at Father.
Even father-in-law doesn't have permission to strike him. No one dared answer. Hidden inside his embrace, I realized something strange. I was still afraid of Adrian, terrified even, Yet, for the first time since Mother died, someone had stood between me and the person trying to hurt me. That realization frightened me almost as much as the marriage itself. My husband stole my first love. Chapter 3. A promise instead of a demand. Lin Yuchen. Omega. The wedding was over. Thousands had cheered. Fireworks had lit up the capital. Everyone called it a fairy tale union. Only I knew it had begun with fear. The attendants led me into the bridal chamber before quietly closing the doors behind them. The room was silent. I sat rigidly on the edge of the bed, still wearing the heavy ceremonial robes. Every tiny sound outside made me flinch. Would tonight? Would he? I clenched my trembling hands. The door finally opened. Adrian stepped inside. His military coat had been removed, and there was a faint flush on his face from the banquet wine. He looked exhausted rather than excited. Without a word, he walked toward me. My body instinctively stiffened. He noticed. "I scared you." It wasn't a question. I lowered my eyes. He sighed quietly before sitting beside me. For several moments, neither of us spoke. Finally, he wrapped an arm around my shoulders. I froze. His forehead rested lightly against mine. "My love." His voice was softer than I had ever heard. "You're finally my husband. I'll protect you from everything." His expression turned serious. "But don't betray me again. I won't forgive another attempt to run away." I bit my lip.
You're my husband now, my Omega, so remember that. Adrian tilted my chin and looked directly at me, coming too close to my face, and I hurriedly clenched my eyes shut, but heard him say, "But I really want to know if you really are an unmarked Omega, especially you ran away for 3 days with that useless Alpha." I slap him in anger, shouting, "How dare you?" But Adrian just laughs, touched his face where he got slapped, and genuinely laughing while saying, "I really like how you're feisty with me like this." Without any control, I blush in embarrassment and anger. "You're insane." Before I could curse at him, he suddenly pulled me and shuts my mouth by kissing. I tried to push him, but he won't stop. I feel heartbroken and scared, thinking I would be marked Omega without any choice. But unexpectedly, Adrian stops and leaves me to sleep separately. They both just sleep. Adrian didn't behave rudely after that and respected him. "You still don't trust me." "I don't," he admitted honestly. "Trust isn't something either of us has earned." Silence settled between us again. "I know you didn't choose this marriage, but I won't demand feelings from you." I slowly looked up. "You don't have to love me tonight. You don't have to tomorrow. Perhaps not even this year." He gave a small self-deprecating smile. "But I hope that one day you'll choose to stay because you want to, not because you're afraid." I stared at him, surprised by the words. "I've had the physicians prepare separate rooms if that's what you want. If you're comfortable sharing this room, I'll sleep on the couch tonight." "You would?" He nodded. "I can wait." I didn't know what to say. This was not the terrifying commander I had imagined all week. He stood, took a blanket from the cabinet, and spread it on the couch. Before laying down, he looked back at me. "Good night, Yuchen." I remained awake for a long time, listening to the steady rhythm of his breathing from across the room. For the first time since this nightmare began, I wondered if I had completely misunderstood him.
Hey, don't forget to give thumbs up, give me a comment, and subscribe to see part 2. Now let's get into the story.
2 years later. Lin Yuchen, Omega. 2 years passed more quickly than I expected. I never forgot how our marriage had begun, but neither could I ignore everything that followed. Adrian kept every promise he had made that night. He never demanded affection. He never ordered me to smile. Instead, he simply stayed. When I caught a fever, he canceled military meetings. When I wanted to continue acting in university productions, he arranged security rather than forbidding me to go. When I missed my mother, he quietly sat beside me without speaking until I stopped crying. Little by little, the fear faded. Something else quietly took its place. One morning, my mother-in-law frowned as I served breakfast. 2 years already. Still no child? What kind of Omega are you? I lowered my head. "I'm sorry." She clicked her tongue. "Our family needs an heir." Before I could answer, Adrian entered the dining room. He heard every word. He calmly placed his teacup on the table. "As long as Yuchen is healthy and happy, I won't ask for anything else." His mother frowned. "The bloodline." "If it's only children you want," Adrian interrupted evenly. "Mother's cousins have plenty. You may adopt one if you wish." The room fell silent. His mother glared at both of us before sighing. "I don't know how he convinced you. Do whatever you want." She left in annoyance. I looked at Adrian. "You didn't have to argue with her." He smiled faintly. "I did. You shouldn't apologize."
Adrian Kale, Alpha Commander. Yuchen smiled more often now. He laughed with the servants. He scolded me when I skipped meals. Sometimes he even waited for me to come home before eating dinner. Those tiny moments became the happiest parts of my day. Then, One report landed on my desk. A new syndicate had appeared in the neighboring province. Their leader had expanded rapidly. They've already taken over several underground organizations. I skimmed the report. The name meant nothing to me, but for reasons I couldn't explain, an uneasy feeling settled in my chest. What I didn't know was that the past we had both tried to bury was already walking back into our lives. Alpha Commander. The intelligence report lay open on my desk. A new criminal syndicate, rapid expansion, military-grade weapons, illegal gambling dens, smuggling routes. Their leader had defeated 3 powerful organizations in less than 6 months. Even the provincial government had begun to pay attention. One name caught my eye: the Crimson Wolf Syndicate. They're becoming troublesome, my vice commander said. I closed the file. We'll let the authorities deal with them. Yes, sir. As my officers left, the door opened quietly. Yu Chen entered carrying a tray. You skipped lunch again. I looked up. He wore a simple pale blue Changpao, his black hair tied neatly behind him. He looked more like a celestial than the actor I had first seen 2 years ago. He frowned. I told the chef not to let you work without eating. I smiled unconsciously. And yet you're the one bringing me food. He placed the tea in front of me. Drink. I obeyed immediately. He chuckled. Even after 2 years, that smile still stole my breath. Then his eyes landed on the report. Another case? Dangerous? Nothing I can't handle. He nodded without asking further. He had learned not to interfere with military affairs. As he turned to leave, I almost called his name, almost asked, "If someone from your past came back, would you leave with him?" The words stopped in my throat. For the first time in my life, I was afraid of hearing the answer.
Something felt strange. Adrian had smiled less these past few days. He spent longer hours in his office. Sometimes I found him staring into space. At dinner, I finally asked, "Is something bothering you?" He looked at me for several seconds. Then he smiled gently. No. It was obviously a lie, but I didn't press him. Instead, I placed another piece of fish into his bowl. "You'll get sick if you keep working." He blinked. "You're worrying about me?" I looked away awkwardly. "You are my husband. If you collapse, I'll have to look after you." His eyes softened. "Then I'll try not to collapse." Why did that simple smile make my heart beat faster? 3 days later, the answer arrived. Adrian returned home long after midnight. His military uniform was torn. There was dried blood on his sleeve. My heart dropped. "Adrian!" I rushed toward him. Before the servants could react, I supported his weight. "What happened?" One of his officers angrily answered. "The new syndicate ambushed us. They've declared war. Their leader escaped again." My hands trembled as I helped Adrian sit down. The physician quickly examined the wound. "It's only a bullet graze. He'll recover." Only then did I finally breathe again. I carefully cleaned the blood from Adrian's hand myself. He watched me silently. "You're angry?" I looked up. "Of course I am. You promised to come home safely." His lips curved into a faint smile. "I'm sorry." I froze. The commander actually apologized? Behind us, several soldiers quietly exchanged shocked looks. One whispered, "The commander apologizes only to Madam." Another nodded seriously. "Our commander is hopeless." I couldn't help laughing. Adrian looked relieved simply hearing me laugh.
Kai, leader of the Crimson Wolf Syndicate.
So, he married him after all? I stood before the floor-to-ceiling window of my headquarters, looking over the neon lights of the capital. One of my men placed a photograph on the desk. It showed Adrian and Yu Chen entering the military residence together. Yu Chen was smiling. Smiling. My chest tightened. "Boss, should we continue attacking Commander Adrian?" I stared at the photograph. I didn't spend 2 years building an empire just to watch someone else live the life that should have been mine. My subordinate hesitated. "What if young Master Lin doesn't want to leave?" I laughed quietly. He thinks he's happy. He only believes that because Adrian never gave him another choice. I'll remind him who he used to love. I picked up the photograph. My fingers gently brushed Yu Chen's smiling face. "Wait for me. I'm coming to bring you home."
My husband stole my first love. Chapter 5. The Night I Chose You. Lin Yuchen, Omega. Rain poured relentlessly against the mansion windows. Lightning flashed across the night sky. I sat alone in the living room, unable to calm the uneasiness in my heart. Adrian should have been home hours ago. Another hour passed. Then the front doors burst open. Several soldiers rushed inside. "Quickly, call the doctor!" I jumped to my feet. Adrian was barely conscious, supported by 2 officers. Blood stained the side of his military coat. My face went pale. "What happened?" "He protected one of us from a sniper's bullet," an officer answered. "He refused to retreat." The physician hurried over and treated the wound. Fortunately, the bullet had only grazed him, but he had lost a great deal of blood. After everyone left, silence filled the room. I sat beside his bed. For the first time since our marriage, I realized how terrified I was of losing him. His hand twitched. Slowly, silver eyes opened. "Yuchen, you idiot." My voice trembled. "You promised to come home." A faint smile appeared on his lips. "I did. You almost didn't." I lowered my head, unable to stop the tears. Warm fingers gently wiped them away. I'm sorry. I looked into his eyes. For 2 years, he had protected me. He had stood between me and every harsh word. He never forced me to return his feelings. He simply loved me, quietly, patiently, without asking for anything. The answer had been in my heart for months. I had only been too afraid to admit it. I took his hand and intertwined our fingers. When you were unconscious, I thought, if you never opened your eyes again, I'd regret never telling you. He watched me silently. I choose you, Adrian. His breathing stopped for a moment. What did you say? I said, I really hated you before. I don't know exactly when my heart changed. Maybe when you stopped Father from hitting me. Maybe when you defended me from Mother. Maybe every time you came home injured. A tear escaped my eye. But somewhere along the way, I fell in love with my husband. Adrian stared at me in complete disbelief. Then, for the first time since I had known him, the legendary commander cried. He laughed softly through his tears. I thought I would spend my whole life waiting for those words. I leaned forward and rested my forehead against his. You waited long enough. He gently cupped my face. May I kiss you? This time, there was no fear, no hesitation. I smiled. Yes. He kissed me with infinite tenderness, as though I were something precious he was afraid to break. When the kiss ended, he rested his forehead against mine. There is one more thing. In our tradition, if you truly accept me as your alpha, will you let me mark you? I remembered everything that mark symbolized. Trust, family, a lifelong bond. This time, no one was forcing me. I nodded. Yes. With one last questioning glance, Adrian waited. When I gave a small smile, he gently embraced me. The rain continued to fall outside as he completed the traditional bond between us, holding me close afterwards as if I were the greatest treasure in the universe. Neither of us spoke. Words were no longer necessary. For the first time since our marriage, we were truly husband and husband. Neither of us noticed. Far away, a man was stepping off a starship into the capital. Kai had finally returned. He smiled bitterly as he looked toward the lights of the city. Kai had finally returned. Yuchin, I've come back. Unaware that the heart he hoped to reclaim had already chosen someone else.
Final arc, the choice of my heart. Lin Yuchen, Omega. The world collapsed on an ordinary afternoon. I had finished my audition. The moment I stepped outside, black vehicles surrounded me. Before the guards could react, smoke grenades exploded. Protect Madam! Gunfire erupted. Someone grabbed my waist from behind. I struggled. Let me go! A familiar voice whispered beside my ear. Yuchen. I froze. Kai? He removed his mask. It really was him. I've finally come to take you away. Before I could answer, darkness swallowed my vision. When I opened my eyes, I was inside an abandoned warehouse. Kai sat quietly beside the window. He smiled gently. You're awake. He walked over and untied my wrists. I promised I'd rescue you. I rubbed my sore wrists. You shouldn't have done this. He looked confused. What? Kidnapping me. I'm not a prisoner. I'm Adrian's husband. Pain flashed across Kai's face. He forced you. He stole you. I've spent years becoming strong enough to bring you back. He wrapped his arms around me. You don't have to pretend anymore. I'll protect you now. For a brief moment, I remembered the carefree university days when I thought we would spend our lives together. But those memories felt distant. I gently stepped out of his embrace. Kai blinked. Yuchen? I lowered my head. I'm grateful you never forgot me, but my heart isn't where it used to be. Silence. Kai's smile slowly disappeared. No, you still love me. You've just forgotten. He reached toward my face. I instinctively stepped back. The movement shocked both of us. He whispered, You moved away. I couldn't even explain it myself. My body reacted before my thoughts did. I'm sorry. I can't. His hands slowly fell to his sides. For the first time, he understood. I had truly changed.
Silver eyes searched the room only once. The moment he found me, relief crossed his face. Yuchen, I'm here. Kai stepped between us. Not another step. The two men stared silently at one another. Neither lowered his weapon. Outside, hundreds of soldiers and syndicate members fought across the abandoned docks. The sounds of explosions shook the ground. Inside, everything felt strangely quiet. Kai spoke first. You stole my future. Adrian answered calmly. I protected the man I loved. You forced him into marriage. I gave him time to choose. Kai laughed bitterly. And he chose you. Neither man noticed another gang had quietly entered the battlefield, one of Kai's rivals. They had come to eliminate both factions at once. A sniper climbed onto a nearby rooftop, his rifle aimed directly at me. I heard the gunshot before I saw anything. Adrian's eyes widened. Yuchen! He sprinted toward me. Kai turned at the instant. Everything happened too quickly. Adrian shoved me aside. The bullet struck his shoulder instead. He stumbled but remained standing. The sniper prepared another shot. Kai reacted instantly. He threw a knife. The sniper fell from the rooftop. For one brief moment, the three of us stood frozen. Then rival gang members flooded into the warehouse. Chaos erupted. Adrian and Kai fought back to back without speaking. Neither trusted the other, but both refused to let anyone reach me. After several desperate minutes, police sirens echoed outside. Government reinforcements arrived. The rival gang surrendered. Kai's remaining men lowered their weapons. The battle was finally over. Kai stood quietly as officers surrounded him. He looked at me one last time. So, this is goodbye. I slowly nodded. Tears filled my eyes. I'm sorry. He smiled sadly. You don't need to apologize. I loved the person you were. And now, I hope the person you've become stays happy. He looked toward Adrian. If you ever make him cry, I'll come back. Adrian met his gaze. I won't. Kai gave a small laugh. I know. Without another word, he surrendered peacefully. Several months later, the mansion had never felt warmer. Adrian insisted on carrying me whenever I complained about climbing the stairs. Put me down. No, I'm perfectly capable of walking. You are, but I'd rather carry you. I sighed dramatically. Commander, you're impossible. His mother watched from the hallway before shaking her head. You're spoiling your husband far too much. Adrian smiled. He deserves it. She looked at me, then unexpectedly smiled. As long as both of you are happy. That evening, I stood on the balcony beside Adrian. The stars stretched endlessly across the interstellar sky. He quietly intertwined his fingers with mine. No more running away? I smiled. No, I'm already home. He kissed.
Epilogue. The man who chose me. Adrian Kale, Alpha Commander. Darkness. That was all I remembered after shielding Yu Chen during the battle. When I finally forced my eyes open, the sterile white ceiling of a military hospital greeted me. Commander, he's awake. Doctors rushed in while machines began beeping faster, but I ignored every voice. There was only one person I wanted to see. Yu Chen? The room fell silent. Then I heard hurried footsteps. He appeared beside my bed, his eyes swollen from days of crying. You finally woke up. Relief flooded his face before it quickly turned into anger. He grabbed the front of my hospital gown. You idiot! I told you to come back safely. I did. Barely. His hands trembled. Only then did I notice how exhausted he looked. You never left? He shook his head. No, you were unconscious for 4 days. I stayed. A quiet warmth spread through my chest. For the first time in years, I felt afraid. Not of death, but of losing him. I hesitated before asking the
question that had haunted me since regaining consciousness. Tell me honestly, when you came back to me, was it only because of our child? Yuchen froze. Then, smack! The slap echoed through the hospital room. Even the doctor stood speechless. Tears streamed down his face. You bastard! How dare you ask me that? I closed my eyes. I know you used to drink contraceptive medicine. His voice rose, shaking with emotion. I stopped 6 months ago. You were always so busy protecting everyone else that you never noticed. I wanted our child because I loved you. You forced your way into my life. You separated me from my first love, and somehow, you made me fall in love with you. He broke down completely. I hate you for making me love you so much. For a long moment, I heard nothing else. Only one sentence echoed inside my heart. I fell in love with you. I slowly reached for his hand. So, you really chose me? He sniffled and glared at me. Don't make me repeat it. A laugh escaped my lips. Despite the pain from my wound, I couldn't stop smiling. I love you too, Yuchen. He leaned forward and rested his forehead against mine. And don't ever scare me like that again. I'll try. No. He squeezed my hand tighter. You'll do better than try. I nodded. Yes, husband.
Somewhere beyond the Imperial border. Kai, former second male lead. The prison transport never reached its destination. Deep within an asteroid field, masked raiders attacked the convoy. By the time the Imperial fleet arrived, the prisoners were gone. Months later, merchant ships began reporting a mysterious pirate fleet. They never attacked civilian refugees. They never harmed children. They stole only from corrupt nobles, illegal traffickers, and criminal organizations. Their flagship bore the emblem of a crimson wolf. Standing on its bridge, I looked out at the endless sea of stars. A crew member approached. Captain, the Empire has issued another bounty for your capture. I smiled faintly. How much? 500 million Imperial credits. Only 500 million? The crew laughed. You sound disappointed. I looked toward the distant stars where the Imperial capital lay. Somewhere out there, Yuchen was living the life he had chosen. For years, I believed that loving someone meant never letting them go. I had been wrong. Sometimes, loving someone meant accepting that their happiness no longer belonged with you. I closed my eyes. Set a course. Where to, Captain? I smiled. Anywhere the stars take us. The engines roared to life. The Crimson Wolf vanished into hyperspace, becoming one of the most infamous interstellar pirate captains in the galaxy. A legend pursued by the Empire, feared by criminals, and remembered by one Omega as the boy who had once given him a single red rose. And beneath the same endless sky, 3 lives continued on different paths, bound forever by the choices they had made.
Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel, Jasniv BL Stories.